Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out Army Corps of Hell, released by Square Enix of all people. This isn't the sort of game I'd usually expect them to release. But nevertheless, we will just go and hop straight in immediately. There's a problem with the game's in-game save timer. It says I've been playing for about 6 hours, which isn't even close. I've only been playing for about 3, so yeah, I'm not going to bother showing you that. Not that much to see out here in the main menu here. You've got a music and sound effects slider, but that's not particularly relevant to anything. And you do have the ability to put in a passcode, and I'll explain what this does shortly, because I can show you what I mean once we actually get into the game. And there's not that much to see out here. You can see that the game's got a linear progression of stages with a bronze, silver, and gold medal system. And you can ignore this if you like. You get more resources at the end of the stage if you get more resources at the end of the stage if you do better, but you probably really don't need to worry about that. The game's not particularly hard, but it would be nice to have the extra resources if you do need them. There's not that much to see. We've got a demonic compendium which will show you all the monsters and stuff that you have engaged with, and I've fought most of the little dudes and a fair few of the bosses, so that hopefully will give me a good idea of what the game's like. You can come into your player equipment, you unlock more of this as you go on, and unfortunately you can't actually craft any of this, which seems a little bit of a weird oversight, but well, that's the thing. You can craft different mantles and headgear, and by craft I mean you just unlock them as the game goes on. However, the mantle is interesting because a ton of different bands worked on this game. And using the passcode system that I showed you just a minute ago, you can actually equip different mantles based on the bands, which is actually pretty neat. The only problem with this is that if you use a specific band's mantle, you'll only hear their background track over and over and over again, which kind of sucks, because this Knights of Round mantle is actually really cool, and I'm actually a really big fan of Knights of Round. I love The Meaning of Life, which is the album they put out, I think it was last year? Or very late the year before. But I'm going to stay with the Desert Mantle just so you don't have to hear the same background music over and over again, which is, again, a little bit of a shame. You can come to the item in Shenderon. It's basically just an item encyclopedia, and you can also see what materials you have. Unfortunately, I had a failed take of this because bloody OBS failed. I can't seem to find a recorder that works consistently, so yeah, let's just hope it doesn't fuck up again, shall we? The game does have ad hoc multiplayer, which unfortunately I can't show you because I'm a forever aloner. So if we go and have a look at the Alchemy, it's not that complicated. You can see that you've got all your different resources here, and you have to use them in jewels, which you get by playing through stages, to craft new weapons and new armor. The different weapons can have different attributes, and the same thing with all the shields and stuff down here, and that is the same thing over all 3 of your goblin classes. And it's actually kind of annoying because there are certain weapons, certain shields I should say, that actually resist certain types of problems. So it's actually kind of useful to have a fire endurance thing if you're coming into a stage with a lot of mines. But yeah, it's not that bad in the grand scheme of things. And you can still avoid it if you're actually a good player, unlike me. And some weapons will also have attacking attributes as well. Like if I go back up here, you can see that you can make an Inferno Staff, which has a fire thing. There's no triangle, like there's no fire is better against earth, earth is better against water thing. It's basically just as long as you're not attacking the same element with their element, you will do a regular amount of damage. So, not too much to worry about there. You can also make consumable items, which I actually have a fair few of, but basically, all they do is raise some attack power, get all your dudes back up, and give you personally some life. So, let's actually just go and hop into the stage. You can change the equipment of your dudes if you like, and you can also change what ratio they're at. You can take in 100 into battle as of now. It does slowly increase your limit as you play the game, but I would recommend keeping a relatively balanced regiment going on, because they're all good at different things. So let's go to hell, shall we? So here we are, this is Army Corps of Hell. It is an action strategy game, I think is a good way to describe it. Yeah, fuck that guy. So the general idea is that you're running around with all your dudes, and you need to do as much damage to these other dudes as possible. And to do that, you use your 3 different kinds of dudes. Right now, I am using my soldiers. You can change what soldier class you're using via the PlayStation Vita's face buttons. The only button that doesn't change to a class is the X button, which is your fast dodge. Get used to using that because you really need to avoid some attacks in this game. But anyway, with the soldiers, their shtick is if you put enough of them on any particular dude or soldier, you can do what's called a salvo attack. And the salvo attack will do a massive amount of damage, which is great for getting what they call overkill. And as you can see, I've got a bunch of overkill going on there. The overkill is a thing that the game actually tracks your progress with. So it actually determines what medals you get at the end of the stage, is what I'm trying to say. So you need to get as much overkill as possible if you want to do well in the game. And the more overkill you get, obviously, the better, because it gets you more resources at the end of the stage. You can also send dudes out to eat the enemy bodies, and they will grab resources for you. You can see some of the resources I'm grabbing down the bottom of the screen right now. I wish this was a little bit faster. It's annoying having to hurl like 20-30 dudes at people in order to actually get the food to happen and the resource gathering to happen. But it's a minor complaint in the grand scheme of things. So, you do get 3 different kinds of dudes, as I said. The second kind of dudes there is your spearmen, which I just lost a bunch of because they all just wandered into a bloody fire pit. But nevertheless, your spearmen are somewhat different. They just head out in a straight line, and they attack the first thing they come across, which is often an enemy, but sometimes it's something else. And they don't do much damage, but they can be very useful in taking out dudes long range. So if there's something you don't want to deal with just on the other side of the bloody map, well, they are very good at handling that sort of problem. You can also send them all out at once via the application of the L button, by holding the L button and just hitting the R button. So you can send them all out at once to do a really long-range attack, or you can just send them out one at a time. Very useful for taking out things like hordes of monsters like these dudes here. So if I just hold the R button, you can see that I just send them out, and they take them all out. Well, not all of them out, but they take most of them out before they even get close to me, which is nice. You can also just use them to do small amounts of damage like that. I know I just let those guys just completely walk in and just run me over, but that's just generally what I do when I'm trying to talk and play at the same time. You do also have a third kind of soldier, which is the Magi. Now, there's no reason not to be holding the L button while you're playing with the Magi, because the Magi will actually move faster than pretty much anything else in the game if you're holding the L button, so there's literally no reason not to do this. But yeah, as you can see, they just form up into a formation here, and they just walk, which is really nice. The only thing that's faster is doing the dodge with the X button. They do also hit multiple dudes at once, so you can see there's a little cone in front of them there. You can see that I managed to attack like 3 different bodies at once, because they were all right in front of me there. And it's very useful for doing things like scattershot attacks on targets if you are having a bit of trouble. It's very useful for scattershot attacks on targets if you're having trouble maintaining control over a situation because there's an absolute ton of dudes. So, all 3 of your dudes are very effective at their one particular thing. Generally, you want to be using soldiers the most because they are the best way to get overkill damage. And if you want to get your gold medals or whatever in this game, your overkill damage is extremely important, and you should take care of that as much as humanly possible. Fucking worms! Yeah, they show up from time to time, and they are very annoying, which means you want to take care of them as fast as humanly possible before you get bloody sidetracked by all these other dudes. The game is very chaotic, if you couldn't tell. There's a ton of dudes flying everywhere all the time, and you just need to try and take them out all as quickly as possible without getting hit. And unfortunately, taking them all out without getting hit is going to be almost impossible. There are points where you'll get these little cages that'll actually let you replenish your troop stocks, which is, like, thank God that's a thing, because I would not have lived through this game very long if that wasn't there. Where's he going to show up? There he is. Avoid that. The only way you can hit these bloody worms is by getting around the back. Your dodge is decent, but considering the not so much the overwhelming size, but considering the large size of your series of troops, it means that you kind of run into issues with not being able to get the entire horde out of the way in time. Sometimes your formations, as you can see, like the spearmen coming into the triangle here, sometimes that can help, but a lot of the times it won't, which is frustrating, but it's not that big a deal, really, because as you can see, I just spent a few of the orbs I picked up. You get hundreds of these. You literally get hundreds of these. So you can replenish your soldier stocks at pretty much any time. It's not that big of a deal. And you can just get straight back into the fight. I'm just going to take out that dude far away really fucking quick if I can, just because I hate having to deal with his shit. Oh, well. I'll just go in close and just throw a bunch of dudes at him. And we're about to get a few more dudes. Thankfully, just running around and holding the R button is great for taking out just these small dudes. But here come the big ones, and I'm just going to dodge out of the way for a bit. Well, I got the overkill, but I lost a bunch of my dudes. Thankfully, they don't die immediately. You can pick them back up if you're fast enough. But, yeah, as you can see, a little bit of a dick. Not a huge dick with the overwhelming... It's not too overwhelming, but yeah, just keeping all your dudes out of the way of trouble is very much an issue. And there is a reason why I call this game action strategy, because it is definitely more about knowing what troops to use, where and when. Because as you can see, using Magi at this point for their crowd control capability is actually really nice when you're dealing with a ton of these little dudes at once. And their overwhelming movement speed means that if I can just barely see like an attack coming in, I can get out of the way really fast. So yeah, there is a reason this game is called action strategy in my point of view. And the actual action strategy is... This is actually a really cool idea. It's... Like, a lot of people say Pikmin is very memorable. I've never actually played Pikmin, so forgive me if I'm like kind of talking out of my ass here, but based on what I've seen of Pikmin, I need to get around to watching like Chuck Conroy's LP or something, because I probably shouldn't try and emulate it, because knowing my luck, I'll get absolutely no luck whatsoever with all of this. But yeah, it reminds me of that, but with a ridiculous heavy metal theme. Like, seriously, this is actually kind of awesome. Blood and shit well, not so much shit, but blood and gore and guts everywhere. Like, the big bosses you fight are just amazing, because their heads come off at the end of every boss fight. And it's just, it's something else. Like, I'm reminded a lot of Brutal Legend. Like, again, I've never played Brutal Legend, so forgive me if I'm talking out of my ass here, but that game had a pretty heavy metal theme. And that game had a pretty big heavy metal theme. But this game certainly does it in a completely different way, which is actually kind of interesting. And of course, it's all Japanese metal more than your traditional Western metal. So it's got its own little neat outlook on things, with the bloody Demon King being the good, also the bad guy at the same time. And it is surprisingly interesting as a thing. As a theme. And wait until you see the big dudes. The big dudes are actually pretty awesome. Are these respawning? Because these are a lot of dudes. No, I don't think they're respawning. I think they're just a little bit harder. trying to get the salvo attack out so I can dodge out of the way. Nope. Yeah, there we go. That's not bad. That took a ridiculous amount of effort. And it lets me go back the other way, so I'm going to have to go get the other key before they let me on to the next stage. Or should I say the final stage. See, look at all these bodies. This is going to take me ages. Soldiers. Alright, I'm not going to bother with the rest. The game does actually require you to, do stages quickly and without losing many troops. And considering that I've lost 17, I'm probably not going to get the gold medal on this one. But oh well, let's not dilly-dally for too long. Let's just replenish our spearmen and our magi and all that, and we'll move on. Because I guarantee you I'm going to need that other key, and we're going to have to do some fighting to get there. And that's a fucking worm. I'm very unhappy about this. I need to get my dudes back. And unfortunately, it looks like the worm actually kills my dudes permanently, which is a bit of a pain, because I'm now down to bloody half my dudes. Out of the way of him. And, okay, spearmen, get him. Soldiers. Christ almighty, come on, lock on, work with me here. What the hell am I locked onto? Oh, right. The fucking bodies, of course. Really? Oh, fuck off. That guy's bloody covered in fire, which means I have to use my magi to attack him, otherwise I'm going to run into a bit of trouble. Thankfully, my magi charging speed isn't too bad for this one. Right, back to my soldiers. Screw you. I was doing so much better than this in the last couple of stages. Why am I suddenly having problems now? So, one of the game's major problems is repetitiveness. As you can see here, it's rather the same thing, more or less, over and over again. I mean, it's not overly repetitive, but the enemies aren't particularly different. Like, most of the variations on certain enemies are... Most of the variations on certain enemies are just the same dude with a different elemental thing, or just a slightly different attack set. So, you do end up facing what feels like the same enemies over and over again. The bosses are fairly different, and are actually surprisingly... Well, not so much surprisingly interesting, but they are very interesting. And you can just go to hell right away, because it destroys the long-range dudes immediately if you take out the dude at the base. But yeah, the game's repetitiveness does start to set in after a while. Thankfully, most of the stages aren't any longer than like 15 minutes. So, you don't have to spend too long playing a stage if you don't want to. Or playing the game, I should say, if you don't want to. With that said, though, it is a surprisingly... It can feel surprisingly long at times, especially when you have to deal with what feels like the same room multiple times over. And it can get rather frustrating. Okay, apparently all I needed to do was grab the skull key in order to get the rest of them to die, which I'm absolutely a fan of, because at least I don't have to sit here grinding away against them until the end of time, although that would be good for getting resources. Right, it's over here. There are a couple of other things, like you do have things that, your items for example, we will use one when we get to the final area, because we will probably need it. But other than that, you've basically seen everything the game's got to offer. It's actually pretty enjoyable though, all things considered. If you don't play it too much, if you give it like 1 or 2 stages, then put it down. Alright, let me show you how the items in this game work. Flick the rear touch pad vertically with both hands. Do it enough, and you will fuck up, like I just did. But yeah, all the items require some weird usage of the rear touchpad, and they're kind of annoying, but as I said before, you don't really need them. They're optional. They're not like the Dynasty Warriors things. You do get to choose when you want to use the items or not, so you don't have to worry about playing weird rear touchpad games if you don't want to. Just saying, that's a thing. If you absolutely despise games that use the rear touchpad, feel free to not play this. Wow, I am getting screwed here. Don't eat the fucking food. Focus on the goddamn... Shit, off my nose with a rubber hose. Alright, you die. Damn it. Formation. Let's form a square formation so that I don't lose any more dudes to these bloody fiery landmines. Nice little attack there, but yeah. I actually enjoy this a fair amount. As long as you don't play it too much in one sitting, it's actually good fun. Like, there's... Like, with the overwhelming amount of dudes that can be on screen at once, and the massive globs of blood and your giant goblin army, it's actually pretty entertaining. And the overall strategy of all of it, trying to keep out of the way of dudes, and you know, just making sure that you're using the right dudes at the right time, is pretty engaging. Because it's nice and quick to swap between them, and it's pretty good. It's not amazing. I wish there was a little bit more depth to it. Like, I'd love to see, like, more different kinds of dudes on both your and their side. Like, maybe using other kinds of underlings instead of goblins, and, you know, more different kinds of dudes. Like, would have been great, like, sequel bait, but unfortunately, it's a Vita game that came out on launch. Nobody remembers this, except, like, GameSap or whatever. Which kind of sucks, because I feel like if this was given, like, a Soul Sacrifice Delta or what have you, just a, if this was given a Soul Sacrifice Delta thing, where you basically took the same game but just improved it in a bunch of ways, if they did that, that would have been really cool to see. Because it would have made for... It would have been interesting to see just how they would have improved it, had they been given the opportunity to do, like, an improved version of it. And it's a shame, this is a unique idea, and it's actually executed relatively well. As you can see... Wow, I lost almost my entire force worth of fucking goblins. That's not great. I'm gonna have to show you a boss fight, aren't I? Because... Oh, cutscene. There's no story. It's literally just, you're the king of hell, you got kicked out of hell, and you're working your way back up. That's really all there is to it. I'm not even kidding. But let's see if there's actually anything interesting down here that I can actually create at this point. I don't think... Oh, insect repellent trident. That might actually be useful. Let's make that, so you can see what the little goblin looks like. It's cute. I like the way the goblins are represented in this game. They're not completely incompetent, but they clearly need to be kicked back in line from time to time, and that's That's absolutely fine. I like the way they presented. So, let's go play one more stage, because I'm pretty sure this stage will have a boss in it. They wouldn't have brought up that cutscene otherwise, so... let's hope there's a boss in this one, shall we? There is indeed! Wonderful. So you'll get to see what a boss looks like. What else is there to talk? Oh, fuck me. Fucking worms. You will get up on him and make sure he doesn't leave. There we go. And just get my one dude back. So we're back at 100. Very good. This guy's gonna... I'm positive this guy's gonna head back down before we can actually, like, take him out. So let's just let him do that. Maybe charge up the Magi a bit. What else is there that I can talk about? The game's performance is usually okay. There's a couple of annoying performance drops from time to time, but for the most part it's alright. I imagine that the multiplayer might actually be pretty bad about this, because I can see all of the different goblin armies and all of that causing a bit of a strain on the Vita, but for the most part, in this game at least, the, oh shit. For the most part, in the single player, the game works absolutely fine. Nothing major to worry about. Oh, I hate these dudes, and, oh, Jesus. It's okay, I've still got all my dudes, but, as we can see here, we have to deal with these bastards, and you can't actually get dudes on top of them unless you've got the right armor on, which sucks. But the game, it's not like the game doesn't explain this, so I'm not really that annoyed by it. But yeah, performs fine for the most part, got nothing wrong with it. And yeah, I actually love the music. Like, well, I'm actually a pretty big metal fan, so that shouldn't surprise anyone, but even so, it represents the game really well. Like, the whole heavy metal music thing actually, like, works really well for this game, so I am not going to say that doesn't fit, because it absolutely fits. And just the overall theme is really fun. Like, they did a really good job of making this, like, it's not overbearing, but it's still, like, fucking metal, which is what you would hope to see in a game like this. And so it's not completely inaccessible or anything like that. Like, I'm not even 100% sure if the songs in this game are just, like, the actual songs from bands. I don't think they are, but, I mean, I've been wrong about this before. Because it doesn't sound like any Knights of Round song I've ever heard on the Knights of Round mantle. But yeah, the music fits the game perfectly, and I don't think I'd have it any other way, which is really nice. So here comes a boss. The buzzing insects are getting in the way, we need to lower their numbers. Easy done. Just send out a bunch of spearmen and immediately lose everything. What the shit? That's not good. Hang on. Tap the rear touch pad with both hands. There we go. Actually did pretty well that time. Well, oh, Jesus wept. Fuck me. Yeah, that's not good. Let's just send out a bunch of dudes and hopefully they won't all die. What is it with all of these dudes? Come on, give me a little bit of a break, please. Oh, Jesus. I'm running out, dudes, quick. Some of them appear to be doing damage sometimes. I haven't actually fought this dude yet, so I'm not aware of the best way to take care of business here. The Magi might actually serve me well. You know, if they actually live to see the light of day. fire off single Magi shots and hopefully it'll do some damage. I do actually need to damage this boss a bit before I continue. I don't know why the camera's up so high. That's actually a little odd. I think it's because there are enemies all over the place, which is not great. Oh, come on! This appears to be the best I have for taking out these huge swarms. Thankfully, it does look like I am actually doing damage, so... Okay. Wow! Come on, Magi. Gotta throw out some more shots. Kill as many of these fucking things as possible. Now, these have got to be respawning. Surely I would have taken them all out by now. It appears that I can't get close. Alright, let's try Spearman again. Alright, yeah, I heard it enough to convince it to run away. That is usually how this goes. But when we find it the second time, we will have to actually kill it. More Magi isn't going to help, and I've got a pretty good stock of them already, so... There we go, back up to our usual regiment, and we can move on. God damn! Alright, you can fuck yourself with a rusty axe. There we go. And we have a bloody bomber over there. I'd rather go take care of his mate. There we go. He's gone. No, he's going down. He's about to be gone. Just need to keep moving so that I don't get caught. There we go. And I completely let a bomb through the bloody defenses there, which is not great. Die, thank you. Alright, so we can either go up or right. I say we pick up. And... wrong choice. Oh dear. I have to deal with these bastards. Go back to our spearman, eh? Nope, that did the trick. Oh no, I didn't want to do that. Oh shit. Okay, no, I don't want to do that either. I want to charge up my Magi, because fuck these dudes that are covered in fire fucking hard. Not to mention my Magi are actually fire right now, so... The unfortunate thing about that is can't take out fire dudes with fire weapons very well. You can backtrack and go over every little bit of the area if you want, but eventually you'll find that the sort of overkill bonuses you get will actually be causing you to lose time, which is unfortunate. Let's send some spearmen out to take care of these dudes. Fucking shit. Dicks. And let's just let's try and get as far away as humanly possible. Right. Gotta get behind him, which really sucks for me. And he shook us all off, and he's going underground again. The other one's right there. Don't want him to fuck me. There we go. Oh, I'm sending out spearmen by mistake. Let's fix that up. That was a close dodge. What's that about? Oh, for fuck's sake. There we go, finally. Alright, we're almost at the boss. Probably got like 1 or 2 more rooms before it sends us over that way. You can also have like a little mini-map like this if you need help finding out where dudes are and all that. Okay, fuck this room. Try and take out as many dudes as possible. That was quick. I've got to try and focus attention on the bombers so that they don't bomb the shit out of me, but it looks like I kind of failed there. Send out the spearman. It's relatively easy for that sort of thing. And this will be a checkpoint, more or less. Just fill her up, and let's actually go and kill Beelzebub, or whatever his name was. Something shocking. Alright. Beelzebub, that's right. They have such weird names, but it's metal, so I like it. I like it a lot. You can see some of the performance issues starting to kick in right here. We lost some dudes, but that's alright. If I just keep moving in a circle like this, some of the insects might not be able to catch up to me. Says as he loses like 10 dudes. Let's try the spearman. Yep, I'm pretty sure I gave these guys the insect repellent, whatever it was, so hang on, this might be. Oh, ow. Ooh, not good. Send out individual ones and try and recover them as we can go. Try and send them straight down the middle. Yes, got him in the weak point. Now, I swap to my soldiers. Move in, do a salvo attack, and now that he's lying dead and dying, we do another salvo attack, and off comes the head. That is actually really satisfying every time you do it, because these dudes can be absolute bitches to handle. Anyway, we'll just eat his head for resources, and there's the door to leave the stage. Wretched Compound Eye. Fair enough. In we go. Wow, I actually got a gold for total goblins killed. That's kind of nice. But yeah, that was a look at Army Core of Hell. I like it. It's a bit repetitive. The performance isn't 100%, but the action strategy is fun. The variety of bosses, mainly, is really cool. And just the overall theme is actually, like, really cool in general, actually. I'm a little bit disappointed this game didn't get, like, a sequel or an improved version, because the amount of potential this idea has is really high. And, yeah, it's just disappointing that we didn't get to see any more of it. However, it's currently available for, I think, $19.99, because it is a launch game. So, it's been out for a while. And for $19.99, hell, it might even be $9.99. You know what? What the hell? I'm gonna have a look. It's $9.99. Holy shit. Okay, that's actually a lot better. Yeah, so Army Core of Hell is currently $9.99 on the PlayStation Store, and that's its regular price. So if they ever put it on sale, it'll be even cheaper. And you know what? For that, absolutely. Like, when it was 40 bucks, I might have been a little bit more iffy on it, but for 10, it is well worth the amount of time to pick up. I actually quite enjoy it, and yeah, that's a really good price. So, this has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.